Nana, first of all, welcome to Joint Caucus.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
Okay. Now, we're talking about SADA. And it seems the NPP has been, someone will say, or some people will say, the NPP is over-politicizing this program. It was an act passed by Parliament. That was 2 years ago. So far, $60 million have been given out. But the NDC promised that they're going to give $200 million to this project. What is your preliminary comment about it?
First of all, let me say good evening to all your listeners. Let me also take this opportunity to offer our condolences to the people that have lost family and friends in various incidents across the country, Hoy and others as well. We would want to state that the incidences that are happening are not things that we as a nation should be proud of. We hope that the security agencies are already on the ground and they get their act together. We also think that it's very important that the president of the nation, speaks up and be heard, even if not necessarily from the grounds or from where it is happening. From wherever he is, he should speak up and make his voice be heard. MY, whatever is happening, I know that it will come together and let's move on with it. But SADA, you see, essentially, what's happening is that it was a program that was proposed by the NDC. It was put in their manifesto. We originally, Nana Akufo-Addo put up the idea. We floated it in our manifesto first. If you remember, he made a statement that he was going to generate a fund of $1 billion to be used to develop the northern parts of Ghana. We were told then that if we had that sort of money, we should use it to pay the debts of Temayo Frani, I think VRA or something like that. 2 weeks later, we were told of the development of SADA. And, well, all things said and done, we are not seeking to politicize it. We are saying that SADA is there for an objective. There's a gap between the North and the South developmentally. The South seems to be doing quite well, or relatively well as compared to the North. And that gap keeps widening. You go to Kumasi, you go to Accra, people are moving from the North to the South every day due to a serious lack of opportunities up North. So we must, as a nation, if we want to keep our peace, take efforts or make steps to develop the North. That's why this whole idea is there. Now, NDC came and made very, elaborate promises. And again, the point must be made that these promises were not coerced. Nobody forced them to make these promises. She said, you're going to set up SADA. In the year of setting it up, you give them 200 million and 100 million every single year. We waited. Interestingly, the act for SADA was passed in 2010. 2 years. Now we are being told that 60 million is in the account, 30 million is in the account, and all of these things. So when we raise these issues and we are accused of politicizing it, what is that supposed to mean?
They promised of 200 million. Even though their promise have not been met, at least they've shown some commitment.
This is where my issue is. I've heard several explanations about they've set up a headquarters. There are people who have been employed. There's a CEO. They've set up a board. Question, so what? The fact that you set up an office or you set up a headquarters doesn't mean that the things that are supposed to be done are being done. We should understand that we seek power to improve the lives of people. We should understand that we float policies so that the end point is the impact it makes on the lives of the people. Having a headquarters, having computers, having people work is not the end point.
But maybe it's a stage.
Yes, so you should come out and explain to Ghanaians that we've not been able to fulfill our promises and that we are working. But don't attempt to, brush it past us that you've achieved a whole lot. When the very benchmarks that you set for yourselves you failed totally. Let's do very simple calculation and analysis. By their own plans, by now, you should have 500 million in the account. Various figures are being floated. But if you look at it critically, even going by the highest estimates that is available, they are saying they've put in 130 million. 130 million out of 500, the supposed 500 million that's supposed to be, is 26% of the amount of money that's supposed to be in the account. In any examination, if you score 26%, it's a failure. So are we wrong in raising those issues, telling the government that, look, stand on your toes. These are the promises you made. These are the issues you brought, and you are failing the people. Let's bear in mind the fact that the people of Northern Ghana are human beings. At the end of the day, why was SADA brought up? To improve the lives of the people. The NDC government realized that there is a need There's a clear need for this. We floated the idea. We said, look, there's a challenge out there. We must solve it. Whether it was copied or not is debatable. We hold the opinion it was copied. You came. You made these promises.
So now, I didn't want us to go there, but you have entered there. You started it. It was your idea. The question one will ask is, why couldn't you finish?
You see, in answering those questions, we need to do a little bit. We came into power in 2000. We met very significant challenges. We had objectives. We had our priorities. We went according to those, and we started rolling out certain policies. The major thing was to stabilize the economy. I mean, there was a line of action. We reached that point where we were supposed to implement. So we started going along those bases of implementation. And then we lost power. You understand? We lost power because the NDC was able to convince...
When did you start implementing it?
Oh,
at what time, at what point in your regime or in NPP's regime?
There was always a consideration from the word go. After we came into power in 2001, we started rolling out policies, you know.
And for 8 years?
For 8 years, policies were rolled out. We came into power to meet an economy that was in a particular state. Inflation was at runaway levels, you know, several things were there. I think we would have to hold another discussion on these labels for us to go there. But the point we are making is we started rolling out our plan for the Northern region specifically because we had come to that point where that allowance could be made. So we are making those allowances, started making those programs. Nana Addo came out with a definite pronouncement on that, 1 billion. We were told to go and pay the debts of VRA and TOR, and that they had a more realistic goal of 500 million within 4 years, 200 million set up money and 100 million every year. They managed to convince the people of Ghana in a way, and now you are in power. You made these promises. These, you know, we must have some sort of integrity, some principle. These are the promises that you made to the people of Ghana. So they are sanctified. They are sacrosanct. If you are not delivering on them, and it is our job as opposition to point out to government that these things are not going necessarily well. And if we do that, we are accused of politicization. At the end of the day, what is politics about? Gaining power to implement your policies so the people get to benefit. I don't see it as politicization. I see it as real concern. Look, people out there, some people are struggling. Up north, if there was nobody struggling, if there was no need for this, then why was it a promise in the NDC's manifesto? That's where my problem is. So my political party, the New Patriotic Party, we believe that there are serious issues there, and it must be looked at critically. We have again come out to say that if we are voted back into power, we have solid, well-designed programs that are going to be delivered. We are even yet to get there. Already we've heard a lot. I mean, the very little that we've been told about. FSHS program, the Zongo Fund. You've heard the amount of rubbishing that has gone on. It is impossible and all of that. What sort of politics is that?
Aren't you putting pressure on the incumbent government, the NDC, in trying to implement or to make sure that this promise that they gave comes to fruition?
If there are hungry people in Ghana, and people are going without food, and people are struggling, and we see that need, we see those concerns, and we tell government, look, you promised these people, go back and perform. If you call that pressure, is that good or wrong? Is that right or wrong? Fine, we are giving pressure because there's a need. If we can afford to pay, 94 million euros to individuals who do not deserve, we can afford to pay 51 million Ghana cedis to individuals. If we can afford all these things that has been done, why can't we afford 500 million for people, our own indigents, who need it, and who government clearly is not oblivious to their needs? Call it what you may, pressure, whatever. Point is, there's a need. Is it justified or not? And so if we are reminding you of the promises that you have made, what is wrong with it?
Nana, let's look at what the NDC is saying. They said they've started providing tricycles to farmers in the northern region to facilitate their movement to the farm and back to their places, their homes, and the north, and trying to green the north. Everything is in process. It's in stages.
And Again, let me just make a quick correction. The name is Nana Kofi Opon Damwa and not Yama. But, you know, going back to that point, I think that the point needs to be made clearly that as politicians, we should remember the fact that people hold us accountable. And we need to respect that. People hold us in, we're given positions of trust that we need to hold and respect and cherish, so that that social contract where the people contribute their resources to government, so that you can use those resources to govern the entire nation for the achievement of our common goals, is respected. I'm saying this because promises were made. Now it's turning out to be something else. No problem.
Now it's turning out to be what, Nana?
One, these tricycles that they are saying is being distributed, on what platform, under what name? You find out now, recently, that projects such as Let's Step and, you know, all these other interventions that go up north are all of a sudden be rebranded and classified as SADA projects. That's confusing. We're hearing of instances where private companies, or, I mean, government companies, PBC, building their own Shenat plant, and then it's called a SADA project and all of that. What's going on? The end of all of this is that people lose trust in the government that they themselves have instituted, and that's dangerous, extremely dangerous. We must come to that point where we must tell people the truth. Essentially, you've built, you are giving out tricycles. Nobody would say that that's a bad idea. It's a very good thing that is being done, but tell the people the truth. Where is the source of funding coming from? Is it really a SADA project or not?
Now, what you're saying, are there allegations, or is it?
I wouldn't bother about labels. Facts are facts. You have reporters, you have bodies. Go out there and check. Go out there. Look, the share nut factory that has been set up north started from a website that I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go. That's why I'm saying that our greatest crisis that we have, what we are facing, I mean, the phenomenon of apoliticization is growing due to some of these things. We must watch and be very careful. All of these, and the end point is you made promises. If you've not been able to achieve those promises, the human beings that you're dealing with, go back to them and tell them, we made these promises, we will not be able to fulfill them. And so as a result of that, genuinely and really, this is what we are doing. You do that, you enrich the governance process. Even we, if we decide to attack you for that, then the people themselves know that we are just scoring cheap political points. But you've not done what you promised to do. You're playing all sorts of tricks with it. And then when we try to point you in the right direction, you accuse us of politicization. Politics or no politics, the people need it.
Now, the NDC is saying they promised, but they are delivering. They have not reached the final stage of what they promised Guardians, even though we have barely 6 months to elections. Now, they promised 200 million, and now so far 60 million.
It's not 200 million, that's the point. They promised 200 million seed money and 100 million every subsequent year. By now, you're supposed to have a total amount of 500 million. And
now they have $60 million giving out.
Given out to who? Where? How do you account for it's the same as me sitting here and saying I've created 1,000 jobs. How do you verify? If I don't provide proof that I have really done what I'm saying I have done, then what's the point?
They've mentioned some projects that they've done. Building offices.
For who?
Human resource. Providing tricycles for the farmers.
And that's exactly what we are saying. And you see, again, all of this feeds into a mentality. You identified SADA for an objective. You said there's a need that we are going to satisfy. Why are you moving off track and then attempting to tell us that we've done, you know, it's like telling me that you're going to build me a tower. And then at the end of the day, I realize you haven't, and you tell me, oh, you've brought trucks of sand. Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? I have personally always had a problem with the propaganda outfit of the NDC. I've always made my points that they are the only political party that seems to have, you know, rejected the consensus amongst all other political parties in Ghana for the need to communicate. Everybody else has a communications directorate or a communications, setup. NDC may have a communication setup, but they have propaganda. And this is the result of some of the things we are talking about. It makes it very difficult to stay on track and discuss issues as they should be discussed. That's where our problems are coming from. SADA, as we are clearly saying, we are not saying that, yes, they have not done anything. Yes, they've built offices, fine. For whatever reason those offices are built, that does not put food on the table of those who did not have food already.
But at least it's a process.
It's a process that you said you were going to do within a specific time with limited achievements. You haven't done virtually anything. Building offices and putting computers, so what? Is that what you promised the people of Ghana? Again, I'll go back in terms of monetary figures, 26%. And to add insult to injury, you come and tell us your achievements are unprecedented. That is where our problem is. Tell the people the truth. Let's understand the fact that governance is a relationship of trust. And let's not flout that relationship of trust. Let's not seek to tell the people that we have some innate abilities that makes us so smart above everybody else. That is not politics. That is politics. It's about time they realize this.
Nana, thank you very much. You're watching Joint Caucus here on Multi TV. And let's move on to our next topic, that politicians are entreated to conduct issue-based elections. Let's watch this video. After that, we'll come back to the studio.
Okay.
Our media today is mentioned as one of the freest, the freest around the sub-region. You go to Nigeria, media men don't have the lazy to do whatever they want to do, other parts of Africa and the rest. But here in Ghana, our media has the free will to report on what they want to report, to say whatever they want to say. And so therefore, I think they've done largely. But for the media, I am wondering what would have happened to our governance system. What would have become of we the politicians who have a free day, do whatever they want to do. Issues that either too, because the media was not that widespread, we didn't know about. Now we hear them. Everything that happened in every part of this country quickly comes to the fore. People are discussing it, people get to know about it, and quickly we are able to move in to help. If you look at it even in terms of security, the media is playing a very fantastic role in that area. Issues come up, they are first to hear it, they announce it on radio, the police moving, the soldier moving, and they are compliment whatever that they are doing. So for me, I think they've not done badly, except to say that there's a vast room for improvement. They can do so much if individuals within the setup can go back and look at the ethics of the profession, that it is the fourth estate of the realm. It is so crucial to any democratic drive. And individuals within the setup will be that mindful, be that conscious, and not just, play to the gallery because I'm a media man, I have mic by me, I can say whatever I want to say, and then they'll take pain and play by the rules. I'm sure as time moves on, we'll have a very, very, very brilliant and a media that all of us can be proud of.
Joint Caucus, as we promised that Muntala Muhammad from the NDC camp will be joining us. It's very unfortunate he will not be joining us in this discussion. Nana Kofi.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's look at the role the media is playing. What can you say about it? We are in an election year, gearing up towards elections in December.
I found myself in a meeting yesterday with a media friend of mine, Mamea. We held very, very important discussions on some of these things. I think that nobody can downplay the role of the media in this election. It's the fourth arm of the realm, and all of that. So it's very key, especially in a time like this where we are campaigning. We need to get our information across. The media needs to bring up, matters that arise and all of these things to enable the electorate to vote wisely and make the right and critical decisions. In as much as we admit that the media plays a very key and critical positive role, we must also admit that sometimes the media does tend to play negative role, and there are examples from other parts of the world that show this. Rwanda is a very unfortunate example, among other things. For us, what interests us is that how can we ensure that the media in Ghana play a positive role to ensure peace and stability in this election? I think that the sensationalism must stop. Some news, some rented press members have made it a habit to formulate stories and concoct issues and all of that. That will not help the nation. All of us as a people must arise and speak against that practice.
When you say rented press, rented media, Nana, what do you mean?
I think Mr. Martin Amidu will be the best person to answer that. But I mean, generally in this country, we all have a feel of how it is going. There's also a much more important, dangerous thing that is coming out, where politicians are beginning to own radio and TV stations and own media outlets, and you know the slant that is being given to the issues and the topics is quite clear from reading all of these things. But generally, I would personally say that in as much as the media is a watchdog of the estate, we the people are also a watchdog for the media. And so if the people of Ghana can also, you know, begin to express our opinions and our concerns about some of these things, it will help us all. We as a political party, we've made it very clear that we are media friendly, we are ready, our doors are open, we'll give out every information and interact with whoever is ready to interact with us to help build a peaceful process. We've opened our doors to the extent that we have declared, our presidential candidate has declared openly that he does not want any blood spilled and all of that. We have a communications directorate that is ready 24 hours a day to give any information that is needed. Our fear, however, has been the constant, you know, twisting and turning and spinning of whatever it is that we say or whatever it is that we do. Again, we believe that in the long run, the truth would always come out. The truth stands supreme. But generally, we think that the media can do better in Ghana.
So how can the media do better? Because I can go on and say your party, the NPP, could be corporate in this issue we're talking about, because we are in the same country. We had, you know, an experience where media owners using their platform to preach about things that will raise tensions and all that. What is your outfit saying about it?
We consider that to be a very unfortunate development. We consider that to be, you know, an evil or a tumor within the system. But we are also saying that overall, Ghanaians should learn to keep such stations in check by using our people power. You know, if we can rally ourselves and use our people power effectively, then we'll be able to keep such stations and such practices in check.
So why didn't your party come out openly to condemn such statements?
What statements do you mean exactly?
I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about a media owner using his platform to preach about, you know, things that will raise unrest in the country. And here is the case: we don't have your party coming out to condemn it openly.
That's not true, exactly. My party came out to issue a statement to the fact that, you know, we distance ourselves from any form of intemperate language. We do not associate with such things, and we had our own mechanism for dealing with these issues. But to say that we did not condemn the media owner, it's not factual. Let me put it that way. We have a clear-cut, well-thought-out plan and program, and it is against our interest for discussions to shift from issues to others. I mean, we've developed, Nanado has made it clear since day one that he wants to come into power with programs instead of just ordinary promises. And so we have that in place. We are rolling them out on a gradual strategic scale. We have nowhere in our interest to divert attention from some of these issues. For instance, we've told you about our free SHS plan. Unfortunately, our attention has been shifted from the entire program that was talked about, in that the free SHS was part of a program of revitalizing our educational system and coming out with a more teacher-friendly, people-focused program. The objective of this was to feed the industrialization push that Nanado has always been talking about. We believe that Ghana as a country has reached its limit as an agrarian economy. We have done the best that we can. We've sustained this sort of economy since 1925 or even before that. And so it's time for us to use a limited space to do that. We cannot achieve that if we do not have an educated base. And again, it's within the interest of my own party to have as much of the Ghanaian population as possible to be educated, because we realized, I mean, putting all other national considerations and everything aside, just to make the points that we are committed to it, we naturally win more votes where we have more educated people. So we are committed to that plan. Now, just showing you how media dynamics work in some of these things and how the media can focus on issues. Nanado spoke about this thing as part of a plan. And then it was narrowed down to free SHS, you know, which is a headline, and so we agree with, and it makes sense. And then it becomes an issue of you can do it, you cannot do it, you can do it, you cannot do it. And then attention is shifted from the entirety of the plan, which Ghanaians should be discussing. Industrialization, is that what we need at this point or not? The program that Nanado has put forward, looking at the educational sector, is it necessary that we really broaden access to education, and not just education but quality education? Is it really important? Is it really that urgent, as Nana Akufo-Addo is trying to make the people of Ghana believe at this particular point in time? So that shows you how effective the media can or cannot be in making sure that politicians and the Ghanaian citizenry focuses on issues. And I mean, I will take this opportunity to entreat your media outfit and all other, you know, persons who work in the media, that let's begin to critically assess these issues and choose what to focus on. You are the headline makers. You decide where the national discussion should be, you know, skewed towards. And so if we have a problem where an issue has been put on board, there's a total program, and then you choose a headline, and then you allow political parties to make it, you know, he cannot do it, he cannot do it, he cannot do it, and so we have to respond by saying he can do it, and the general crust of it about the development of the nation is lost. That's not going to do any good.
You're watching Caucus, and we couldn't have Muntala Muhammad from the NDC to speak on behalf of the NDC, and we apologize for that.